Greetings, dear friends. Your invaluable support is our strength. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video. This greatly helps the growth of our channel. Leave your comments. Your feedback is very valuable to us. And now, to the most important and current world events. Let's go.
Because President Trump is probably the only leader on earth who recognized the need to address the root causes of the current situation. He said that drawing Ukraine into NATO was a big mistake, a mistake of the Joe Biden administration. And he wants to correct it by this, what US and Russia.
With such an assessment, Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov spoke in an interview with the American television company CBS. When asked if a meeting between Trump's special envoy Steve Witkoff and Vladimir Putin would take place, the minister replied that Moscow continues contacts with Washington. Recently, the assistant to the Russian president, Yuri Ushakov, reported that Witkoff plans to visit Moscow this week. According to Axios, the talks between Putin and Trump's envoy may take place today. On RBC, the main news in the studio. Marina Aslapteva. Russia is ready to reach a deal on Ukraine with the U.S., stated Sergei Lavrov, but some aspects still need to be agreed upon. The minister did not specify which aspects.
The President of the United States. The President of the USA believes, and I think rightly so, that we are moving in the right direction. In this statement, the President mentioned the deal, and we are ready to achieve it. But there are certain details that need to be refined. We are engaged in this very process, and the President of the USA did not clarify the details of the deal, so I cannot do that either.
To be continued, last week in Paris, the USA presented framework proposals regarding Ukraine. In particular, according to media reports, it involves freezing hostilities along the line of contact, recognizing Russia's control over new territories in Crimea, easing sanctions, and refusing to admit Ukraine into NATO. The day before, Trump stated that there is already a deal with Moscow, and it remains to reach an agreement with Kyiv. But it turned out to be more difficult. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky stated that he would not recognize Crimea as part of Russia. Russia is ready to make quite significant concessions, Donald Trump stated during a meeting with the Prime Minister of Norway in the Oval Office. In particular, as the U.S. President said, Moscow is ready to stop the hostilities. Trump noted significant progress in resolving the conflict despite ongoing strikes. At the same time, the American leader may raise the issue of Washington withdrawing from the negotiation process if an agreement is not reached within 2 weeks. According to Trump, Vladimir Putin does not claim the entire territory of Ukraine. But when asked if Vladimir Zelensky would have to give part of the land to Moscow, the U.S. president replied that it is important to understand what exactly is being discussed.
As for Crimea, it was handed over during the presidency of a man named Barack Hussein Obama. It had nothing to do with me. That was 11 years ago under Obama, and they made the decision. There wasn't a single shot fired. There were no battles. Nothing happened there. They just handed it over. Now they are asking, well, can you take it back? I think it will be very difficult to do.
As Bloomberg reports, the U.S. believes that to achieve peace, Kyiv needs to regain control over the Kharkiv region and Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant. Trump also intends to ensure Ukraine has unhindered access to the Dnipro River, which flows along the line of contact. The press secretary of the Russian president, Dmitry Peskov, previously stated that Ukraine must withdraw troops from the DPR, LPR, Zaporizhzhia, and Kherson regions. These territories are enshrined in the constitution as an integral part of Russia. After that, the hostilities will immediately end, Peskov noted. NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte also believes that the work on resolving the conflict in Ukraine has been successful in recent days. He stated this after negotiations with Donald Trump. He also refuted the Financial Times report that he allegedly asked the U.S. not to pressure Kyiv in terms of making decisions on a deal with Russia. Additionally, Rutte positively assessed the negotiations in London. Representatives from Ukraine, the USA, France, Germany, and the United Kingdom met there 2 days ago.
No, when you talk about RMP, you somehow... You know, when conducting peace negotiations, you have to come to agreements one way or another. But I think that right now I'm not helping the successful conclusion of these negotiations. And I truly believe that huge steps have been made in the last few days, and the London meeting was successful. but I don't think it will help if I start commenting on its minor details. That doesn't work, so I'm not going to do that.
Rutte also stated that NATO countries should spend more than 3% of GDP on defense to ensure the security of the alliance's territory. He said that many states do not even meet the current requirement of 2%. Trump previously criticized allied countries, including Canada, many times for insufficient defense spending. In his opinion, the figure should reach 5% of GDP. The central bank at today's meeting will keep the key interest rate at a record level of 21% per annum. This is the opinion of experts surveyed by RBC.
High rates probably do not allow for the effective issuance of debt securities. All this against the backdrop of such international volatility in global financial markets. Various negative news, of course, I think, will make the central bank extremely skeptical and cautious. That is, in this regard, most experts agree that at this meeting, there will be no changes.
On the other hand, emotionally, we are already prepared for the central bank to move towards easing monetary policy, towards the reduction of the key interest rate. There are also certain reasons for this, including credit, expectations, reduction of loans, and the observed increase in delinquencies. Moreover, there are such global challenges, including the decline in oil prices. All this increases the pressure on businesses. And to a certain extent, we might see a very unfavorable situation in the coming months with an increase in defaults and so on. Therefore, of course, emotionally, we are ready for the central bank to start lowering the key interest rate. But apparently this will happen in June.
The key interest rate has remained at 21% since October of last year. At the March meeting, the central bank left the rate unchanged but softened its signal. The head of the regulator, Elvira Nabiulina, later stated that the period of high rates will not last forever. According to her, the tight monetary policy is working. Judging by the monthly rates, inflation is decreasing. The target set is 4% by 2026. As a result of, in the first quarter of this year, the accumulated annual price growth in Russia exceeded 10%. The central bank noted that such an acceleration is a consequence of the low base effect. 100% of the shares and stocks of the Salavat catalyst plant were transferred to state ownership following a lawsuit by the SAI, Prosecutor General's office. This is the largest producer of catalysts and adsorbents in Russia. The prosecutor's statement concerned, quote, the consequences of invalidity, of a void transaction. Several other enterprises which were created for the needs of the company Gazprom Neftekhim Salavat were also transferred to state ownership. Alexei Mityushov is named as their beneficiary. He is the former head of Gazprom Neftekhim. In 2022, Mityushov became a suspect in a criminal fraud case. The reason this was the embezzlement of funds from Gazprom Neftekhim Salavat. According to the investigation, Mityushov, while being abroad, effectively established foreign control over enterprises of strategic importance. According to the prosecutor's office, the factories were acquired through invalid transactions. Since 2023, Mityushov has been on the international wanted list. Almost every second tour for the May holidays was purchased by Russians for Turkey. This is according to a study by Travelata. Tourists most often choose Turkey, despite the fact that the sea is still cool there. The average check has increased to almost 200,000 rubles over the year. Egyptian resorts take second place. The average price of a tour has increased to $236,000 rubles over the year. The United Arab Emirates and Russia share third place. The Emirates have become the most expensive option for the May holidays, on average 251,000 rubles per tour. Domestic resorts are the most budget-friendly, averaging 84,000 rubles per trip. Thailand closes the ranking for the year. The cost of vacationing there has practically not changed to an average 215,000 rubles. Russians continue to choose quality hotels and meals for the May holidays, all-inclusive. However, the share of five-star hotels has slightly decreased, while demand for four-star hotels has increased. Analysts associate this with the fact that the share of trips to Turkey has generally slightly decreased. More information is available on our website, rbc.ru. Visit us, find us on social media. Stay tuned to RBC. We'll see you live very soon.